Alright, this is for your moderate spoiler, but don't kill the story or experience. You want to know what is the sacrifice and what is the result. That's what I'm going to tell you now. What do you gain and what do you lose in the process? So, here's what you gain. In the end, my peoples, they became something new. And in becoming something new, they gained that. They all gained that trait. Intelligent, so their science output is increased dramatically. All of them, all of my humans have gained this ability. Now, that's not the only thing that happened. We were a very peaceful society, and we became rather militant. They formed a couple of factions, at least one faction, March of the Brave is what it's called there. Take a look at what March of the Brave demands. They want unrestricted warfare. They want conquering alien planets or making other empires our subjects will please them. I just went to war, so they like me now because I took over a couple planets. Border expansion. Constructing a frontier outpost to expand our territory will please them. They want a local rivalry. They want neighborhood rivalries. They want supremacy traditions. They don't like the fact that I'm in a federation. If I were not in a federation right now, they would love me. Unfortunately, I formed the federation before they even existed, and I am not abandoning the federation that I formed. So even despite that 25% hit on happiness, I'm still doing pretty well. Imperial hegemony, installing ourselves as the overlord of one or more foreign powers. Well, I happened to have enlightened actually 3 separate primitive societies. That was the goal to this game, was primitive enlightenment. I didn't even care if I won or lost. And so I already have a couple of vassals within my territory, and I didn't even have to fight for them. So I've already got that. They're fairly happy. So because of that, because I have a couple vassals, because I'm willing to go to war, they are somewhat okay with me. They're not terribly happy. It's 44% happiness. That's all we've got. They were about 90% of my populace. Because of that, we had very low happiness for a while. So that was a big end result of going through all of this, was that change that gave them the intellect trait and then the formation of the most powerful faction that was very unhappy with me. They were unhappy with me because the goal, the end result of it, is that if you are a peace-loving peoples, then you have to become more warlike. And I'm under the impression that if you are a warring people, you have to become more peace-like. So it forces you to change your empire, your society. It's going to be difficult no matter which way you go. But that said, that's the end result. How did we get there? I ended up sacrificing 3 scientists, 1 science ship, and I think that's about it. So I lost about 3 or 4 of my leaders in this process as well, and a lot of time and running around the map doing things and working through it, but the story was a lot of fun as well. One last note that I wanted to share with y'all on this moderate spoiler is the other end result that I nearly forgot to share with y'all. Has to do with the planets in your home system. For instance, looking at Mercury, which is currently a molten world with 0 habitability, or Mars, which is a barren world with 0 habitability. And I wanted to share with you what happens there, because there's something that happens here to the planets, and it also changes your peoples in one other rather dramatic fashion. So as you can see, it actually changed each of these. Mercury is now habitable at 100%, and Mars is now habitable at 100%. If you look at this, these are now tomb worlds. And yes, tomb worlds are now also 100% habitable. So, what happened was 3 new tomb worlds were created in Sol. Earth itself was converted into a tomb world. And if you look at our human peoples, they too now have a tomb world preference. That makes things kind of complicated, potentially. So it's worth considering if you really want to go through with it. Mind you, however, everything else was already accomplished and completed prior to this very last thing. This last thing only happened when I clicked research as the very final step. If you decide not to do that final step, you will not have this tomb world preference and the creation of the tomb worlds in your home system. That said, it also doesn't really matter a great deal, because if you have more than one species in your empire, then who cares? You just gain the ability to colonize tomb worlds, and you still have 60% habitability for every other kind of planet with your primary species anyway. So by the time you get to mid or end game, usually that's with all those random 5% increases to habitability. That's usually not nearly so big of a deal either. So there is your moderate spoiler. What the end result is, it changes your society dramatically. Happiness is going to become an issue, and your people will gain that intellect trait. On the other side of things, you will have to sacrifice a number of leaders and enjoy a really great story. So I hope you enjoy it. Good luck.